What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Respect Her Game. I'm Laura Stickells. Annabelle Hasselbeck is joining remotely from Denver today. Annabelle, great to have you back. We have another exciting episode planned for you. We're going to talk some women's Beanpot, of course. Their semifinals were yesterday, which as the episode comes out will have been 2 days ago. We're also going to talk the College Football National Championship. We've got a little women's gymnastics. We're going to talk some women's hoops too. So a really fun episode, a little this, a little that. But first, Avi, how are you?
Laura Sticks, good to see you. So fun. Wish I was in studio with you today, but out here in Denver with Sports Spectrum, and is absolutely beautiful. You know, seeing the Boston Seaport is so pretty, but you do take for granted when you get to be around the mountains. So happy to be out here.
Yes, I totally agree. Whenever I go home and I'm around the mountains, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so peaceful. Like there's something so peaceful about, Denver, Salt Lake City, where I grew up, and it's just like the wide open expanse is something that I love a lot. But Annabelle, you know what I was thinking about just as we were kind of gearing up for the show and we were going through our notes yesterday? It feels like just the other day that we were talking about Boston College and their win over Florida State, and now here we are at the College Football National Championship.
It is so wild, and I love to think back to that. I remember I was out in Seattle and we were talking about that game and just the joy that was around Boston College's campus, and especially for me. So love to remember that game. Unfortunately, we'll see how the season went from there, but BC did end up winning the bowl game, so we'll take it. And super excited. But it is crazy, Laura. Like, we were talking about college football like it was, early in August with the Respect Her Game, and now we're here. It's the last college football game, the national championship. We got the Irish and the Buckeyes, a matchup that a lot of people were not expecting. So, Laura, can you believe the national championship is on Monday?
I actually can't. I was thinking about that, and I feel like the past year has just been a whirlwind in terms of time of year. Like I keep thinking that it's the summer for some reason. I'm like, wait, no, it's like literally 20 degrees outside right now. And the fact that spring training is coming up and it's like in 30 days, I don't know. I feel like the sports this year all kind of blended together for me or something, because I have no sense of time. I cannot believe it, but I think everybody is super excited for this matchup in the College Football National Championship. So many great storylines, two great teams. It's going to be great.
I'm excited, and I know that you were looking into specifically Notre Dame. So, Laura, for people who might not be the biggest Notre Dame fan, what should they know? What are 3 things that people should know about Notre Dame?
Yeah, so I tried to pick some 3 fun storylines. So Notre Dame comes in at 14-1. So they're definitely, one of the best teams in college football this year. So it makes sense that they're here right at the end. But they did have that loss to Northern Illinois early in their season. It was their second game. It was at home. And honestly, I think this is so interesting because as the college football playoff expanded, this is a team that maybe a couple of years ago, depending on other teams' records towards the end of the season, people would have been arguing that they shouldn't have gotten into the national championship. They shouldn't have been able to get into the playoffs. And I think the fact that they did get into the playoffs this year it's important, because I think that, in college football and in college sports in general, resiliency is part of it. And you should be able to overcome those early season losses or late season losses, be able to bounce back if you only have 1 or 2. So I think that is really interesting that they did have that loss early in the season, but they've been excellent since then and been dominating most of their opponents. So that was the first thing that I noted. The second thing that I noted is their quarterback. Riley Leonard, his favorite movie growing up was Rudy, and he used to watch this all the time as a kid, and it's actually because his grandfather also played football at Notre Dame back in the 1940s, so he said he used to watch this movie every day, and I think he probably always had ties to the Irish. So he played 3 years at Duke, and he entered the transfer portal, and you knew that when he entered the transfer portal, he knew where he wanted to go, because he entered with a do not contact tag, meaning that other teams and coaches can't contact you, but you can contact other schools. So I think that's more for guys that already know where they want to go and where they want to end up. So he clearly entered that transfer portal with intention. Now he's at Notre Dame, and he's led the Irish to a great season. And then the last thing that I wrote down was And I think a lot of people know this because I know the media has been pushing this really hard. So I won't say that if you don't know it, you live under a rock, but this is for everybody. Everybody's learning, right? But Marcus Freeman, he went to Ohio State. He played at Ohio State. So this is like him coaching against his alma mater. So I know the media is pounding the story really hard. I think we're all way more excited about it than he is. I think he's kind of over it at this point. But I think it's great, that he's been at Notre Dame for a while. So he's had this experience of playing against Ohio State in the past. So he kind of already knows what it's like. He knows the media circus around it. I think he doesn't care. I can't imagine that he would. I think he's, obviously like 100% behind his team, no question about it. But I'm sure it's also a cool moment for him and probably a full circle one as well. So those are my three things. What did you write down for Ohio State?
Well, I love those. And I love that you brought up the story about Riley Leonard and Rudy, that movie, because I have no connection to Notre Dame, but I love that movie, Rudy. So I can't even imagine what that feels like to have that connection.
We used to watch that movie like every single rain day in PE class when I was growing up. Like my memories of that movie were like sitting on the gym floor watching Rudy. But it is such a good movie. And you know what? Just like in everything that I've learned about Riley Leonard, I feel like it fits his personality. Like he kind of, I feel like, has a little bit of Rudy in him too. So it makes a lot of sense.
Definitely. I love that. And you're right. Notre Dame has a lot going for them. But we're also talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes, okay? This is Go Bucks, the red and white and gold. This is a fan base that is just, incomparable. And this team has already experienced basically the worst thing that could happen to them all season, losing to Michigan, right? Some people hold this even higher than the national championship. After they lost to Michigan earlier in the season, people were calling for Ryan Day's job. It was beat Michigan or bust. Like, you thought the world was ending right after this loss. So this team has already gone through that. They've already experienced it. They've taken that blow. So now they can really play free and have that weight lifted off their shoulders. So I would say out of everything, that's kind of my number one thing, is like this national championship game probably doesn't feel as big of a deal as that Michigan game did. And then second, they have talent outside of just their quarterback, Will Howard. Both schools have these transfer quarterbacks who have helped their teams immensely. But Ohio State, they have Travion Henderson, one of the best running backs in the country. They have Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver, and Emeka Mbuka. Like, this is a support system around their offense and around their transfer quarterback that has far exceeded, I think, what Notre Dame has right now. And then not just their offense, but also their defense is playing so well. Jack Sawyer came up with that solidifying play in the semis against Texas to really pick up the ball and score the touchdown to just, put an end to that game. And so this is one of the best defenses also so I'm thinking, paired with that weight off their shoulders from the Michigan loss, the talent that they have on their offense, and just the fire that this defense is bringing, that's what I'm looking for on Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, just when you kind of look at this matchup, my prediction, honestly, it is for Ohio State to win. I love this Notre Dame team, but I kind of think that Ohio State defense is definitely going to prevail. I'm curious, you I think took a trip to Ohio State, right, with Sports Spectrum. So what was the vibe out there when you were there?
Man, it was so cool. Like, just walking that building, I was like, this is something I have never experienced before. Just the amount of Heismans in the lobby, the amount of championship rings on display, the amount of national it was absolutely insane just from a facility standpoint. But that was their off day when I was in there. But I can't even tell you, there were countless guys on the turf working out, meetings happening all day. It was just really cool. And you could tell that there was a different level of intensity on that campus. It was actually before they were about to play Michigan. And you could just tell there was this vibe around their facility that was something I'd never experienced before.
Okay, so I shared that I think that Ohio State's going to win, but personally, I want Notre Dame to win. I don't know. That's just the vibe I'm going for. Sometimes it's like I don't really have a dog in this fight, but just naturally my heart always leans towards one team. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. My heart right now is leaning towards Notre Dame. What about you? Who do you want to win, and who do you think is going to win?
I think because of my experience on Ohio State campus, I have to say I would love to see them come out with the win. That was just really cool to be a part of and to form some relationships with players and coaches. And so I would have to say I'd love for Ohio State to win. And I'd also love to see them win coming off of that Michigan loss, right? A season that people were being so negative about. So I also think they're going to rise to the occasion when the pressure is on.
I think, honestly, like watching the college football national championship is one of my favorite events to watch each year. And I think the part that I love the most is the post-game interviews. I always stay until the sideline reporter, finishes all of the post-game interviews, because those are some of my favorite parts. It's like the entire season is building up to that moment and to those interviews and to those questions. And I think as a reporter myself, like that's something that I look forward to every single year. Is there a part about just the college football national championship that you really look forward to each year?
Yeah, that's a great point, Laura. And I think one, like I love watching those because I love to watch the women who are reporting on those and learn from them and study what they're doing. But just from my work with Sports Spectrum, which is why I'm out here in Denver, we have seen like an incredible revival going on in college football this year with athletes in their post-game speeches or in their press conferences just proclaiming their faith and their Christian faith. And that has been something that we as an organization at Sports Spectrum is what we do. We talk about the Christian faith in sports. And this is not like any year that we've ever seen. So it's been wild for us on a media faith and sports media standpoint to see these athletes in those post-game interviews. So I would say just from my work with them, it's been so different and so cool to see. But yeah, lots going on in college football right now.
Yeah, that was something that Riley Leonard definitely talked about in his post-game interview after that Orange Bowl win. He was definitely talking a lot about like putting his trust in God, and really, really interesting to just hear his perspective on that, and really own his truth. So that was really cool, and I like what you said about that. All right, so as the college football season kind of comes to an end, something that always comes up right around this time on my Instagram and on my Twitter timeline is women's gymnastics. It is back every single year in January, and it's always something that, like, for me, yeah, I know the dancing because there's a lot of that, but for me, it's something where it's like I almost forget about it because I don't know. I always think about gymnastics as being an Olympics sport, but it is such a fun college sport to watch. It's one of my favorite college sports to watch, actually. But it's almost just something where it's like every January, I'm like, oh, right. Like, it's a special treat that I'm going to get for a couple months is watching all of these, like, incredible women's gymnastics routines. And something that I love about college gymnastics is the fact that it's almost like they have a little bit more fun. Like, they have a little bit more swagger, a little bit more spice, a little bit more sass. Glitter
yeah,
on the face. And I feel like they really have fun. Like, I know in the Olympics and with all of these international meets, it's really buttoned up, it's really tight, it's really serious and focused. And I feel like college gymnastics is the opportunity for these girls still to compete really, really hard, but also to like have fun and enjoy themselves and enjoy their sport. And I know that there was a routine that stuck out to a lot of people, and that was Jordan Childs' floor routine that she did the other day for UCLA. I mean, let's take a look at this. Like, the music was, first of all, crazy. She did it. It was like a Prince mashup or something, wasn't it? I'm not as familiar with Prince's music, but it was some sort of Prince mashup. And I just loved, first of all, the first tumbling pass was incredible. So well executed. But just like, look at the dance moves. Like, look at these dance moves.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, like the details, like from her fingertips to her toes, they are pointed, they are flexed. Everything is perfect. And even facial expressions, right? Like the head flips, the sass. And I think one of my favorite parts, and you kind of mentioned it, is the difference between the Olympics and college gymnastics. But then you're like, oh, this is Jordan Childs, right? And she's competing in college. You forget how young these women really are and the stages that they are performing at in the Olympics. And then, you see them compete in college. And I can't even imagine, like, the energy just feels so different in that gymnasium when an Olympic gymnast steps up on the floor.
Yeah, there was a photo of Jade Carey and Jordan Childs together, I think from a week ago. Jade Carey, she still competes for Oregon State. But, I mean, I love all the stats. Like, Jordan, you saw her doing, like, the little air... There she is, doing, like, the air guitar.
She's literally looking into the camera. That's
I know. It's so funny. Like, imagine if they did the air guitar, though, at the Olympics. Like, do you think that would fly?
Maybe not in Paris.
Watch this ending. Like, so good. And honestly, okay, you need to get your brother to be our, like, women's gymnastics UCLA, what's it called? Representative, our reporter, our correspondent. That was the word I'm looking for. Correspondent. Our UCLA women's gymnastics correspondent. Have you talked to him about potentially going to one of their meets? Because I've heard that they are crazy.
I've talked to him about women's basketball, but I haven't talked to him about gymnastics. So we will have to get on that when he's back on campus.
Yes, you definitely do. Okay, so if you were doing a college floor routine, what would you want your music to be to?
Man, that's a great question, and I've thought about it a million times. I would love to. I love like nostalgic songs. So I think if I could do like a mashup to old school bangers from Jonas Brothers, Justin Bieber, Hannah Montana, Cheetah Girls, One Direction, High School Musical, but like remix them, I think that would be what I would want to do. What would you do, Laura?
Okay, I love that idea. I like bringing back the old school music. Well, it's not really old school. It's like from the 2000s, but I think that's really fun. I was thinking, and I don't know if this would fly in gymnastics because it's not typically what they go for, but I was wondering, like, I wonder if there's some way you could do some sort of country remix to a floor routine.
Definitely.
Like, don't you think that would be cool, though? It would be different.
Beyonce's country music too has a little bit more of that beat to it.
Yes, I agree. So that's something that I would like to do. And what I love about UCLA, and this is when Coach Val, who was their head coach for a really long time there, did, is she kind of gave all of the girls who were on the floor lineup and who were doing a floor routine, she kind of gave them a personality. It's like, this is your personality that you're trying, this is the character essentially that you're representing when you step on the floor, which I thought was a really cool way to look at it and look at those floor routines. And I feel like if I had country music, I could definitely get into some kind of character.
It's good. It's like the alter ego. I think Beyonce's alter ego is like Sasha Fierce or something.
Yes.
You kind of get into character when you go into battle really on that dance floor.
Was there another routine that stuck out to you this week?
I loved Jade Carey's from Oregon State, and I just loved, like, it was just flawless. Like, kind of like what I said with Jordan, like you could tell that there was a different level of excellence from Jade and those Olympic athletes routines. They just have it down. Their toes are pointed when they're 5 feet in the air. She just looked like an absolute athlete in her routine. She had a great song. It was super fun. And yeah, I just loved watching them because they train at such a high level that you clearly notice a difference.
Yeah, no, the execution from the women and the girls that went to the Olympics is definitely at another level. I think it's cool because in college gymnastics, I think there is still a little bit of difficulty involved in how they score it. But for the most part, it's like if you're competing at full difficulty, then it's just based off of execution. So you can get a 10 in women's gymnastics, whereas like at the elite level, you can't get a 10 at the Olympics because there's that difficulty level incorporated into the score. But you can get a 10 in women's college gymnastics, and you see a lot of athletes that have competed at the Olympics getting 10s in college gymnastics, which I think is so cool. There was one routine, another floor routine that kind of stuck out to me just because we've been saying just like how Snoop Dogg has been so involved in, athletics over the last year. There was a Snoop Dogg routine. Did you see that?
No, that is wild.
Somebody from Arkansas. Somebody from Arkansas did their routine to like a Snoop Dogg mashup. I was like, what is good? It was great, actually, by the way. It was really fun. Awesome. Yeah, go back and watch it. It was actually great music, a great routine too. But I was just like, this is out of control. Snoop Dogg is now infiltrating women's gymnastics too.
Hey, he's got to come out with some new songs if he's going to stay up in the media.
Yeah, he better start coming out with some new songs because I don't know, you can't be resting on your laurels anymore if you're gonna have this kind of presentation in the national media.
Yeah.
So the women's Beanpot semifinals took place last night at Matthews Arena, and it's going to be BU and Northeastern going back to the championship game at TD Garden. It's a repeat of last year's championship, which I think is so exciting. But the semifinals were so electric, Annabelle. It was the biggest crowd in Northeastern women's hockey history, as well as the biggest crowd at a women's Beanpot school site ever. It was over 3,000 people there. I wasn't there last night because I had other commitments, but I mean, I was blown away, and it just got me so excited for the championship game, which I know is going to be even like at a completely different level.
So awesome. And even Northeastern's coach, Dave Flint, said in 17 years, he's never seen a crowd like that here at Matthews. And just to think 17 years is a long time. And just for not only the coach and the fans to be a part of that, but for the players to experience that, like that's something you'll never forget.
Yeah. And you know what? I remember talking to Dave Flint last year just about the women's Beanpot and it being at TD Garden. And he said, I remember when I started at Northeastern, we were just fighting to get the national championship game televised. Like, that's all we wanted. We just wanted to get it on TV so people could watch it. And he said, it's just so incredible to see how far the sport has come. Now, you know, every game is televised. There's so many people there in the crowd. And I mean, honestly, like, I was worried for Matthews Arena. Like, I mean, this arena is old. It's ancient. Like, there's sections you can't even walk in. I was like, is it going to collapse? Like, is it going to collapse during the semifinals? But no, truly, I was really blown away by it. And I think also, considering the fact that it is Northeastern's probably the last time that Matthews Arena will host a Beanpot Championship ever, because the men's game is always at TD Garden, and the women's usually alternates every 4 years. It would, you know, next be back at Northeastern 4 years from now. And, you know, I think, like, considering the fact that they do have plans to rebuild the rink, I know they haven't necessarily set specific dates, specific timelines, but it seems like that was probably going to be the last time there was a Beanpot game played there. And I think it's really special, especially for that rink, which has meant so much to the hockey community in Boston for so long.
Yeah, definitely. And especially for Northeastern to just come out and ball out, right? They came to play like they have in the past couple of seasons, but scoring 3 goals in the first period. Like, are you kidding me? That is what my college coach would call the first punch. And not just the first punch, but a knockout punch. That means you show up, first whistle, when the puck drops, you are coming and you are making sure that that is a knockout hit.
Yes, so Northeastern ended up beating Boston College 4-2, but this was a game, like you said, that Northeastern was dominating from the get-go. And when we spoke last week, we were both thinking, like, you know what, I think that this is going to be the better game of the 2 semifinals. We thought that this would be the more tightly contested game. There were the 2 teams coming in with the best records, and, you know, Northeastern was coming off such a hot streak. BC wanted to, you know, avenge the fact that they didn't make it to the championship game last year, but no, Northeastern dominated from the start. And, you know, no surprise, you saw Skylar Irving get in on one of those goals with an assist. You saw Taze Thompson, who seems to score in every single Beanpot, regardless of the school she's playing for, because she used to play for Harvard. You saw her get in with a goal. And their freshman goaltender, Lisa Jensen, is incredible. She has been so good all season long, and she continues to perform in the hardest moments. And, you know, Dave Flint didn't put her in net every game to start the beginning of the season. He was rotating through with one of their other veteran goalies, but I mean, she has earned that spot in net, and she's proven that she's up to the task and up to these really big moments.
It's exciting. She had 18 saves in the third period alone, right? And, like, end of the game, you get fatigued. That's more so when you tend to make mistakes. And for her to show up for her team in that way, this Northeastern team is ready to go.
Yeah, it's her 10th win of the season, too, which, like, for a freshman who hasn't even played the whole season, she started playing regularly, like, in November. So, I mean, she has just been a lock for Northeastern. And I think that this matchup against BU is going to be really good because, like I said, this is a repeat of last year's championship game. And I think that this BU team is better than they were last year. Last year, like we talked about last week, it seemed like they were overperforming expectations in this tournament. They went in with, you know, a goal to win it. Nobody was expecting them to win it, and they got right there to the end. They obviously lost in overtime to Northeastern, but they were so close, and I know that they're going in with fire this year. And I think just of the teams that I met at the Women's Beanpot Media Day, I was so impressed by their poise and their professionalism. You even said it last week. Like, those girls were so professional. They meant business, and, like, they're coming in to win this tournament. And I think that they have as good of a shot as anybody. I mean, I know that they won their game against Harvard 2-1 in overtime. They actually came from behind. They scored the tying goal with 1 minute left and then won it in OT. But BU outshot Harvard 41-10. And my one thought coming into this game was that Harvard's goalie, Ainsley Tuffy, I thought she had the potential to steal this game for Harvard, because I know that Harvard has had a tough season, but Harvard's goaltending has actually been good. Like, she's ranked 4th in the ECAC in goals allowed per game. and or no, rather, she's ranked 4th in the ECAC, I believe, in save percentage. And so I thought that she had the ability to steal this game for Harvard, and she almost did. You saw BU really like grind it out there at the end, and obviously win it. But I think the fact, though, that BU played so well, they dominated possession of the puck. Like I said, outshot them 41-10. And Northeastern blocked 20 shots. Or excuse me, Harvard blocked 20 shots in addition to that. So that, like, imagine how many shots they were getting on net throughout that. That's 61 shots.
Wild.
Like, that is crazy.
That's a lot too for your defense to handle, right? Like you talk about having, playing both sides of the puck, right? You want to play offensively and defensively, and when your defense has to make stop after stop after stop, that takes a toll on your offense. Even if it's not, the same exact players who are blocking shots, making the saves, all the things, you need those momentum shifts. You need to make defensive stops turn into offensive goals, right? And so when you don't have that, that really hurts. But BU, like they've taken the pride since the very beginning of their season before it even started. And that's what they really talked about in their media day, in their interview with you, Laura. They were like, people came in good shape. We set our culture. We said what the standards were going to be. And we encouraged just this insane level of competitive energy. And they showed up and really did show that. And what was cool to see is BU's athletic department is claiming them as the late heroics. And I love that term.
Yes, totally agree. So we have BU Northeastern competing again in the championship game. Who do you pick to win it? I'm kind of thinking right now, I think that BU might avenge their loss from last season. And I think it's going to be a tight game. Don't get me wrong. I think this game is going to shape up exactly like it did last year. I think it's going to be a 2-1 win, BU in overtime. Just flip the switch. But, I mean, Northeastern, like I said, they're so good. Lisa Jensen has been so good in net for them. And they have Skylar Irving. She's always an X factor in these games. It feels like whenever there's a big moment, I'm interviewing Skylar Irving post-game. She scored the game winner. So I don't know. It's going to be a tough one. But and speaking with those BU girls last week, they just feel so poised and like they're going to get it done no matter how.
I'm gonna agree with you. I think that late heroic attitude and having that experience, sometimes when you get really close to the fire and you could have won, could have lost, it just ignites something within your team. And I think that's going to carry over into this championship game.
Well, the championship game is next Tuesday at TD Garden. You're not going to want to miss it. I will be there. I will be ringside reporting. I'm so excited for it. I am so excited to have that moment where I get to interview, the winning coach, the winning team members, and it's going to be so special. I know this week is going to be all about preparation for me, but it's a moment that I'm really looking forward to. And, when I've spoken with all of the teams and all of the girls and all of the coaches, the thing that they always say about last year is it was that moment during the national anthem when, the lights dimmed, they brought up, the American flag on all of the ribbons around the arena. And that was the moment for them when it really just like washed over them with how cool it was that they were actually getting to play a game in TD Garden and seeing all the little girls and boys with their signs and the fact that the entire lower bowl was full. Like that was the moment that still stands out to them a year later. So I'm looking forward to getting to see that in person myself.
Well, I'm looking forward to watching Laura report on it. So let's go. Congratulations. That is a huge deal, Laura, and just excited to watch you kill it because I know you're going to do amazing. Well, Laura, gymnastics and hockey aren't the only winter sports heating up right now. We got swim and dive is underway again, and a huge meetup for the BC Eagles and the Terriers. Lots of battles of ComAvs going on right now this Friday. So, Laura, just wondering, what's the equivalent to the Battle of ComAv at Stanford?
Oh, please, it's big game. How do you not know this? It's Stanford Cal. That is the equivalent.
I just wanted to see your reaction.
It's Stanford Cal, but actually, at the big meet, they call it big meet out at Stanford, that actually is a really good meet because they do typically have some elite swimmers on both programs. So I know at Stanford back in the day, it's like we had Katie Ledecky, Simone Manuel, and I'm trying to remember who Cal had. I think Cal had Missy Franklin. Like, there were just, like, huge names on both teams. But you know what? Battle of ComAv meet, that's going to be great, too. And Dara Torres is going to have those athletes ready for it.
She will. She is not new to competition in any form. She's one of the most highly decorated Olympic swimmers of all time. And I had the honor of getting to sit down with Dara at the Tradition earlier this fall to see what's up at the pools at the Boston College Heights.
What is up, Dara Torres? This is an honor for me, especially as a Boston College Eagle. So thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
You are being honored tonight, downtown Boston at the Tradition, City of Champions, which is perfectly fitting for yourself, 12-time Olympic medalist. What are you most excited for tonight?
Well, I have to tell you, my daughter's really bummed she's not here. She's in college, and I was walking around and down in the doldrums, it has all the hockey names and everything down there. So I was taking videos, and she was like, oh my gosh. But, you know, just to be in the company of the people who are being honored and the fact that, you know, this is a fundraiser to raise money for the community is very important to me.
It's so special. And I have to just say, you look gorgeous tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Your dress, it is amazing. Did your daughter help you pick that out?
I really was online, yep, send, that was it. So, and I'm paying for it now because it's very big in the back and I have to keep tying this thing. So hopefully I'll get through the night. But my kids on the team, the girls told me that I need to wear sneakers. So I got my dunks on, so.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, I do want to talk about Boston College,
Okay.
the kids on your team. As a BC Eagle, it is so exciting to have you a part of the community now. BC is so fortunate to have you, really. Why did you choose Boston College?
Well, first of all, it's so rich in tradition and history and, you know, the religious background and just everything about it just kind of embodied sort of like what I was looking for. I actually never thought I'd get into coaching. It's just something that kind of happened. And, you know, I'm so ecstatic about it. And really what I wanted to do is just try to turn this program around and get the morale back and, you know, the team culture and just get these kids to start having fun again and just start raising the bar as we go along.
Yeah, that first day when you got in front of the team, what was that like? What was the vibe?
You know, I try not to be, but I think I was a little bit nervous because, you know, we had over 50 kids there and they're all like paying attention to you. And I think I enjoyed doing a motivational talk more than standing in front of the kids and talking about team rules and other stuff going on. But, you know, we talked about goals and what I'm looking for. And we've had individual meetings with the kids and really have an idea of what's going on there and what their needs are and stuff. And, you know, it's been a little bit of a learning curve at the beginning, I think, for all parties intended. But, you know, I think everyone's just settled in now and really enjoying it.
That's amazing for you to say because swimming has been a part of your life forever, really.
Yes.
And you're saying, yeah, it's a learning curve. And there's a lot of things that nobody really sees that you have under your responsibility that's outside of the pool.
The guy who hired me, he said, I really underestimated how little you know about administrative work. And I'm like, I had an agent, so he did everything for me. I didn't have to do anything. So, you know, it's definitely a learning curve. Not so much the coaching. I mean, I think learning how to use a stopwatch, because I've never had to use a stopwatch, is something that is a little bit different for me. But the coaching just kind of has come naturally. But the administrative work, like I had no idea how much there would have to be, you know, to get this season going and between a meet schedule and equipment. And there's just one thing after another. So it's been a lot, but, you know, we're plugging along. I'm going to be bummed next year when I can't say, well, this is my first year. You know? So,
you don't have that
I don't have
excuse
that
behind
excuse
me.
anymore.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, is there a motto or a specific phrase or just team philosophy that you're like, this fall, I really want to instill this in my program?
You know, I think just considering it was kind of a rough patch for them last year, I really just want them to reach their full potential of what they can do. We had such a variety of kids come in that some swam, some didn't swim. We had some freshmen never did double workouts before. And it was just like, everyone just got thrown in. And so, you know, our goal is really just for each individual to reach their full potential and to have fun. Like, I mean, we've gone to Red Sox games. We've, you know, a couple of kids went to like hockey games. We've done Top Golf. We've done go-karting. Like,
I want to join the swim team.
I know, right? Well, I mean, well, you know, you're a lacrosse player, so you're on the field like all the time. That's all you look at. And these kids are looking at a black line at the bottom of the pool. And academics is so prestigious at Boston College that, you know, they have a lot on their plate. So to go out and just get out of that realm and do something different, I think is really important.
Yeah, that's really incredible. And I bet those student athletes really appreciate that, because it is really hard. And especially with someone like you coming in as their coach, they're probably like, oh, it's swimming only, blinders on. But you're able to bring them outside of that and say, you know, this is really more than just what happens here in the pool.
Yeah, and I think also the biggest thing that I want these kids to learn coming out of my program is confidence, you know, to when they're done with this chapter in their life and they go on to the next chapter, that they have the confidence to do that.
That's awesome. Is there a specific drill or coaching philosophy from a former coach that you've had that you are making sure that you bring to this Boston College team?
Yes. What I've really learned just as an athlete and seeing the coaches that I've worked with for so many years and all their different philosophies really is, you're not coaching the team, you're coaching the individual. You know, so yes, people may swim the same events, but every body type's different. How people take things in is different. You know, the mental capacity is different. So, you know, I have 52 different personalities on the team. And, you know, I literally dropped my daughter off at Penn State for her freshman year of college. I'm like, oh, empty nester. And then 3 days later, I'm like, oh, I got 52 kids now. So but it's really been a lot of fun. Like I'm really enjoying it. And, you know, it's really just to have that confidence when they leave my program.
I read your book, Age is Just a Number, and something amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
And something that really stood out to me was the emphasis that you had on positive self-talk, and especially around your race time. How has that proven to help you throughout your career?
So you know, when you're training for something like an Olympic Games, or you're in a sport where, you know, yes, you're swimming, but when you're sitting at the wall and you're around your other teammates, you know, you have to try to be positive. And, you know, for me, I didn't try to like overthink things and get into my head and stuff. Like I do much better actually if I don't think about anything and I just go and swim and do my thing. And I feel like if I've done all the hard work up to that point, whether it's physical or mental, and go to a meet, that I should just be able to stand up and go. And so I try to, you know, obviously there's a lot of positivity that goes into that, whether it's physical or mental. And it's always important for me to surround myself with people who are positive. I'm too old to like deal with, you know, all this other stuff that's going on, you know, and it happens in sports, and you know that. And it's just a matter of how you deal with it. So staying positive is really important.
That's good. And I think that's a great message for people who even aren't athletes, right? Like whatever environment you're in, if it's your work environment, you want to surround yourself with people who build you up and just positive.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I try to tell the kids. Like if anyone's having a bad day, go into water, say what you need to say, and then pop back up, you know.
That's good. So get down in the water.
Exactly. So I've had to have a couple talks with a couple kids, and they get it, you know. But I mean, listen, like if I wasn't complaining about something in practice, my coach would think something was wrong with me. So you know, I get it. You were getting ready and you don't know what's coming up, and then all of a sudden the coach gives you a hard set and you're like, oh gosh, you know, but just go into water.
That's good. Just go underwater.
Get it all out. Bubbles come up, and then you're great, you know.
I loved learning about you as the BC Eagle, but I would love to learn more about you as the Olympian, 12-time medalist, 4 gold medals. It's a pretty insane sentence for me to say. When you think back to those medals and the journey that those brought you through, I bet each one has a really hard-fought story, right? But is there a specific race with one of those medals that you're specifically proud of?
It's hard to say which one. I think what I've learned in retrospect, looking back, is, you know, looking at that road that got you there, like the journey, like you said, you know, that's what makes you who you are, not getting necessarily that medal. But if I had to pick a race, it would probably be the 50 freestyle in 2008 in Beijing, because what I thought when I finished and I looked at the scoreboard, it said that I lost by 100th of a second. And if you blink as fast as you can blink, that's fast. You know, 100th of a second is faster than as fast as you can blink. I mean, it's just you can't calculate how fast that is. And so for me, it was like hopping on that plane, being so upset that I lost by 100th of a second, and then realizing that I gave it everything I had, that I left no stones unturned, and there was nothing else I can do, that I had to be happy that I actually won a silver medal, you know, in the Olympic Games. So at 41. So, you know, I definitely thought about things a little bit differently, but I think that race is probably the most important race for me, because it really taught me a lot and had me grow up a little more instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I have to keep swimming until I win that individual gold medal that it's eluded me for so many years.
Wow, that's really powerful. And I bet just that story in itself, out of the millions of stories and life lessons that you've learned from swimming, that for your own swimmers just at Boston College, that is going to take them so far to know that if you can say that, they can say that in their meet.
It's like a peace of mind, you know, and I mean PEACE, peace of mind. You know, if these kids, if they give it all that they can and they did the best they can, there's nothing else that they should expect from themselves.
Definitely. And talking about the mind, when you walk into that pool deck and it's the Olympics, I've never been in one of those environments. I know it's probably really hard to explain. What is that moment like?
I think it was much different when I went to my first one at 17 years old, and I was, you know, this young kid sort of bouncing off the walls and not appreciating it. And then when I got to my 5th Olympics at 41 years old, I definitely could see things a lot differently through the eyes of a 41-year-old than I did at my first Olympics through the eyes of a 17-year-old. So I think you're just a lot more appreciative and just so excited to be there.
When you think back to just being a part of the Olympics with all the other Olympians, I bet there were so many people that saw you and were like, oh my gosh, that's Dara Torres, and freaking out, right? But who is an athlete that you were so excited to see there?
It was really fun when the NBA guys came into the village, and, you know, they stay at a hotel. The beds are too short for them. And, you know, so, I mean, I get it. And they get mobbed anyway. But when they came to the Olympic Village before opening ceremonies in 2008 and hung out with us, and then would come to and support us and come to the meets and cheer us on, I thought that was pretty cool.
It's so cool. I love it. It's really cool when other athletes, I just experienced this in college, when the football team would come watch us or the basketball team and vice versa. It really just builds that sense of like all one team. And I can't imagine what that was like on the USA front.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's like a community, you know? I mean, we're there representing the United States, so yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. Well, you've swam in so many pools. Is there a favorite pool that you have?
I have to say Sydney, Australia. You know, the Australians really put on an awesome Olympics, and every Olympics was great, but it's just something about being in a country where they treat their swimmers like rock stars, and everyone knows who everyone is, and they speak English, and it's just so beautiful there, and that was probably my favorite venue.
When you say they treat their swimmers like rock stars, what's like different about that?
Well, like we would walk into a laundromat and everyone know who we are because swimming is such a big sport there in Sydney, Australia, and they just sort of worship them. So It was kind of fun, yeah.
Yeah, that is super fun. I love that. Now that you're at Boston College, have your athletes asked you, hey, are you going to get in the pool with us ever? Is that something that's been on your mind?
I kind of did. I didn't mean to, but I did. And I hadn't swum in like 5 years and have been in recently 3 different times. And the last one I just popped in with a kid and we swam together. So it was fun.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Well, Dara, we are so excited just to be able to talk to you today. And truly, from me as a BC Eagle, so thankful that you are at Boston College and cheering you on. And I know you've probably got a lot of maroon and gold by this point, but I want to gift you some BC Lacrosse neon, another Boston College color, just to really welcome you to the Boston College community. And we're cheering you on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Nice to meet you.
Okay, so Annabelle, I know a couple weeks ago we briefly mentioned Joe Burrow. He had his house broken into, and that's obviously like horrible. And it just seems like there have been this chain events of just like unfortunate things happening to these high-profile athletes. Caitlin Clark is the next one kind of that has fallen in line, unfortunately. Her house hasn't been broken into, but there's been a stalker. A Texas man was arrested actually in Indianapolis because I guess he had moved from Texas to Indianapolis. He was sending her threatening messages, stalking her via social media and in person. I mean, clearly, if he's moving to Indianapolis to be close to her, he could face up to 6 years in federal prison. And I have been thinking about this. I mean, women and female athletes have been experiencing this sort of harassment for a long time, but it does feel like just harassment in general amongst athletes has gotten to a new level. I don't know if you would agree with that, but I feel like on social media, I'm seeing it more and more, it seems like every single month.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's definitely not something that's new, right? And it's definitely not something that athletes or celebrities to some extent haven't experienced before, and that law enforcement hasn't had to be dealt with before. But I think with social media and just the spread of information and how quickly that gets out, it's easier to be seen. But I
Yeah.
also think that in some ways that how that can promote and might give bad guys and criminals the ideas to do something like that. It also highlights and shines a light on, oh, hey, you're going to face 6 years in prison. Like, it kind of sets different precedents for the consequences that are going to happen when these unfortunate things come up. And just shout out to the law enforcement in Indiana for making sure Caitlin feels safe and protected and for getting that situation under control. But yeah, really scary and truly unfortunate.
Yeah. And, I'm glad that she's bringing this to light. She did bring it to law enforcement. She did show that it's a problem, that she didn't just try to deal with it herself, because it is really scary, and you should feel like you're supported by our community and your law enforcement officers. So I'm glad that she's had that experience. But it just feels like in general, I mean, I know that, and this isn't a hot take, like we've talked about this in women's basketball in the past, but it feels like people are acting weirder and weirder around these women's female athletes as they've become more popular. And that's the case with, the men's sports too. But I don't know, just in the way that people have been following them and trying to get pictures. I don't know. I just feel like celebrity culture has gotten even stranger over the past couple of years with the way people treat celebrities when they're out. And it's just even if you're not harassing them or doing anything illegal, it's just be normal. Like you can ask for a picture with them, but
Quote
don't
of the podcast, quote, be normal.
don't scream and chase them down the street or whatever it is. Just let them be. I don't know. I just think I don't know. I haven't loved the way that I guess just people in general have kind of taken fandom a little bit too far.
Yeah, well, it is disturbing, but I think that's kind of why, as much as social media can aid that and really, ignite it, it's also can call out so explicitly, this is so weird, this is so wrong, and we need to put an end to this right now.
Yeah. Well, in happier women's basketball news, the Unrivaled season tips off on the 17th. So I think the coverage of the Unrivaled season so far, I mean, it hasn't even started, but it feels like it has, because my Twitter timeline has been just chock full of these videos coming out of Unrivaled and of their facilities down in Florida. I mean, the facilities, I would describe them as a combination between a club, a spa, and a gym. I don't know. What do you think about what you're seeing from all the content that's coming out from down there?
That is so accurate. They've done, shout out to their marketing team and their social media team, because they have done an incredible job building up anticipation, video teasers, posts, and even down to their captions have been so creative. And I think really when you start anything new, you need pops of color, right? You need bright things. You need cool facilities. You need maybe to show behind the scenes content that people haven't shown before. And I think this Unrivaled team has really done that. And that's why there's so much hype around it right now.
They brought in glam squads for their media days. Did you see that?
It was awesome. I absolutely loved it. It felt like the ESPYs. And I think it gives a little more personality to the athletes too, because, right, some people only see them on game day, but when you get to see them kind of in more of that, hey, I am a girl, or I love doing this stuff too, I think it kind of brings more of that human side into the athletic world.
I totally agree. Of the team names and logos, which one is your favorite? I'll go first. Mine is the Laces. I think, okay. I don't know. I mean, I know it's very similar to the Aces. I saw a tweet that was it's like you're copying somebody else's homework. But I was thinking, I'm Laces is a great basketball team name. Which one is your favorite?
Laura, you stole mine. Mine is also Laces. But no. I did like the vinyl. Honestly, truly, because of that same kind of metaphor playing off of it. And did you even see they had a different colored basketballs also in the shoot, but I think that was with the vinyl team, and I did like their colors, the red and blue. So I don't know either team.
Yeah, I liked all of the colors too. I think the colors that I really liked, I think it was the colors for vinyl were because it was kind of like that maroonish almost, right? It was
yes. It's not a color scheme that you've really seen pieced together before.
No.
And so I think that's that's why I really have enjoyed just from the names, like you said, to the jerseys, to even like the creativity and the logo. I think they've really thought outside the box on this one.
Yeah, I was thinking as I was looking at all this stuff, is like, who should take note is Boss Nation. They should look at some of these logos and take some inspiration, think about the team names a little bit more, maybe reach out to them for some advice, because they've absolutely been crushing it. Another team or teams that I can say have been just absolutely crushing the logos, the color schemes, the jerseys, are all of the PWHL franchises. And within that, I can also say on the NHL side, my favorite color scheme by far belongs to the Seattle Kraken. I think that like ice, what is it, almost like a teal, looks so good, especially on Jessica Campbell, who dropped the puck in Climate Pledge Arena. This was over a week ago, but we didn't have time to talk about it on last week's episode, but we definitely wanted to make sure that we got it in this episode, because she dropped the puck between Montreal and the Boston PWHL teams, and it was such a powerful moment. Climate Pledge Arena was packed, so many fans there, and she also read the starting lineup to the PWHL Boston Fleet, and she gave a little pregame speech as well, so we've cut that for you, so take a listen.
And here for our starting lineup, we got Jess Campbell.
Fleet, welcome to the deep. That's my opener. I just want to say congrats, like everything that you guys have put out there, the stage, the spectacle, the momentum and the energy of which you guys have built is something that for me as a former player, like I can feel, I live out, I watch, and I'm so motivated and inspired by what you guys are doing each and every day. So from all of Seattle, this is your stage tonight. And honestly, I can say it wholeheartedly, this place is so energetic. They're full of so much life. You probably felt it at the Iceplex as well. They're gonna love you, and this is the stage that you guys deserve. Like, embrace the opportunity, be great, play for each other, and embrace the moment. The second I got to step behind the bench here in Seattle, I remember feeling what a privilege it was to know that didn't matter if it was a young girl or a young boy, they would see anything other than themselves in pro hockey. And I think tonight the opportunity for you guys is to continue marching on, doing what you're doing and inspiring the next dream, the next generation to believe in what they can become, to believe in what they can see. So play with pride. I get the honor of reading the lineup for the finest colors in the league tonight. So let's go. Starting up front, we got Belks, we got Suski, we got Holly. On the back, we got Little Meg, we got Pesci, and in between the pipes, we got Frank's Red Hot. Let's go, lady.
The thing that I loved most about that, the phrase that like gave me chills, was "This is the stage that you deserve." What did you think about that?
I absolutely love that. And I think it was really cool for her to shout out the PWHL players and just say, hey, like, I'm encouraged by you too, right? Like, this isn't like, time for me to be celebrated because she got to drop the puck, but she got to say like, hey, this is really cool for me to see you guys because you're living out a dream. And I get hyped up by watching you guys. So I just thought it was such a cool way for both sides to be honored.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like she said, finest colors in the league. I still think that the Boston Fleet won the luck of the lottery with the best colors because those are so cool. I love that like light green. It still looks so pretty, and she's right. It matches, the Kraken's colors so well. Okay, so we've got about a minute left here, and I think we have time for one quick would you rather. Let's see. All right, we have a couple here that we've picked. So I like this one that you wrote though. Would you rather be on an unrivaled team with your teammates from the WNBA or with different women?
Oh, well, thank you for picking mine. You know what? I think as much as I loved playing with my teammates in college athletics, it was so fun for me to also do like other teams outside of just my BC lacrosse team and get to play with other girls, because not only did you create that relationship with them, but then you also learned about them. So you have to go up and play against them later. You had a little bit more of a scouting report to know in the back of your head. So that's what I would say. How about you?
I was thinking that as well. It's like it would be fun to get to continue to play with your teammates in the off season, but I think like they help push your game when you're with new people. they help push your game, and they help, like, I don't know, you get to play with different players, and I think it widens your skill set almost. So, and you also get to meet new people, and I don't know, I just think it's fun, and it brings the entire community together.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I'm excited to watch this unrivaled league unfold, and not just for the cool jersey, in the glam photo shoots.
Yes, me too. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Respect Her Game. Like we said, new episodes come out every Thursday.